hearts race.
And the crowd goes wild.
All across the nation, the Dirt Track Warriors duke it out for what matters the most.
The trophy.
And the glory. This is Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises.
Back with more firepower than ever before. This is Gas and Glory. My name is Kyle Looters, and the young stallion just to my left is Neil Quick, and we are presented by R&R Enterprises. Neil, how are you doing today, bud?
Not feeling like a stallion. I feel like a gelding, dude.
A what?
A gelding.
A gelding.
Yeah, that's a horse that's been neutered, Kyle.
I didn't know that.
Thanks, man.
I did not know. You
See, you're letting me explore and actually go out there and teach you something.
I don't want you teaching me about horses and their anatomy, okay? Can we just say that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm cool with that. But by the way, great new intro. I was tired of that old one that we used 62 times in a row.
Well, you know, I'm a little bit happy about that because I've got to tell you that we've done a little upgrading here at R&R. We have an all new board, and I figured that it was time for a new intro.
I thought we stole that.
Oh, I wasn't going to tell him that. No. We actually thank you.
Radio Shack on Manchester. If you're missing a soundboard, it's been recently thieved in the last 2 days. Don't come down to R&R.
Well, you know, that's good news because Behringer is not sold at Radio Shack. Good job there. No, thank you to the accounting department.
We will take a Radio Shack advertisement or a plug there.
We will. I want to thank the accounting department for helping us out here with some great new equipment. This is all kinds of cool stuff. We've got sound effects. We've got, you know, this is going to be mine for Neil. I'm going to just play this in the office all day long now. So,
Really, this is where we're going. Like just not even less than 5 minutes on the show. You're already jabbing at me.
I'm having fun now.
Well, what I don't like about this is I'm over here on the mic, and you've got all these new toys and equipment, bells and whistles, and I'm sure that anything that I say will be bleeped or just edited out of the show. There we go. Number one for the day.
I love it. All right, well, we do need to get going here on the show today. Recapping Winter Heat. You know, Neil, we've spent so many shows talking about this event. It's hard to believe it's finally over now. But it was a great one for the ages. Danny Lasowski won night number 4 with Dale Blaney and Paul McMahon on the podium. And, you know, the dude did not have that good of a night on night number 3. But he came back and roared with a vengeance and took night number 4.
You know, looking at all the nights, he was very competitive. I mean, night number 3 was a little rough for him. But like we talked about in last week's show, speaking of firepower, I mean, he's got the fire going. I also saw his new paint scheme for 2015. I think it got leaked out there on the interweb. I've seen that.
Interweb?
Interweb there.
Oh.
Yeah, I seen it earlier.
That's cool. So, yeah, Danny Lasowski takes night number 4, the 12,000 to win, and that jumps him back up into the point standings heading into night number 5. Now, whoever won the overall points for the event was going to take home a cool $4,000, and Paul McMahon was leading going into night number 5. Paulie had a little bit of trouble, but Aaron Reitzel, though, night number 5,
again,
finally gets the ship right.
Yeah, again, somebody's fast.
Crosses the start-finish line with a collapsed front nose wing, but he does pick up his first 410 victory after coming so close the first 2 nights of the event. David Gravel and Craig Delansky also on the podium. Lasowski and Stevie Smith's tie for the points, but in the end, with his win, Lasowski takes the $4,000.
That's a nice little payday to add on, eh?
You are not kidding whatsoever, my friend, and that puts Winter Heat in the books for 2015. But oh, good news, my friend. It will be back in 2016. It was announced during the final night. Track promoter Greg Burgess said, yep, we're going to be back next year, and we're racing on New Year's Day.
Really?
Yep, January 1st.
They invite us out yet?
We're working on that.
Yeah, we've been barred already.
Neil, take us away. Supercross in full swing.
Yeah, round 2. Phoenix. Supercross was really a big change this weekend going into Phoenix from Anaheim. The hard pack stuff, they went to the soft pack, rutted up track. And kind of impressive. We had 2 first-time winners this weekend. In the small bore class, I know that last week that Jesse Nelson notched his first win for the KTM Troy Lee team. And impressive this weekend, Cooper Webb gets his first win for the Yamaha team. Really impressive bout there. He had him covered all the way through practice, hot laps, whatever you want to call it in Supercross. I know they do a time practice there, but was solid all the way through the day and rode smooth.
I would totally flunk that.
Flunk what?
Timed practice?
Timed practice?
Yep.
Why?
I'd take too long. You see me practice.
Kyle, you can't normally even go a lap without hitting something in practice.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, Kyle has problems with four wheels. We're talking two wheels, but let's get back to the action here. I know the 450 was very impressive, Maine, there. In the heat race action, it looked like Kenny Roxon was going to be a repeat winner back-to-back coming out of Anaheim, but Eli Tomac really had him covered in practice and got a good start, chased down Roxon on lap 7, and from that point checked on out. But the battle was basically behind him from there on out for second, third, and fourth, and Roxon settled into second, and then the battle really was for third all the way through. Weston Pike, just a hard-nosed, big heart-type rider riding for the Joe Gibbs JGR Yamaha team this year. Put in an impressive ride. I know his best finish coming into this weekend in Supercross was a 5th, holding third all the way through. Dungy on the KTM team was giving him a rough go there and battling with him. And I think Weston came up a little short on a triple and either jammed or, from what I'm hearing out there on the good interweb today, is that Weston actually has a small fracture in his ankle. Going to try to tough it back out, get it fixed this week, and be back out there for Anaheim 2 this weekend. But Weston ended up succumbing to Dungy, finishing 4th. Dungy brought it home 3rd. And Team Kawasaki Monster Energy, Davey Millsaps rounds out the top 5. But exciting weekend going to A2 this weekend. The lights class just as competitive as the 450, so really anxious. All you Supercross fans, all you oval track fans are Supercross fans, be glued in Saturday night. I know it's going to be tough with Chili Bowl, though.
You talked for 3.5 minutes straight. I think we finally found a topic that you're passionate about.
Really?
Yep.
Love some Supercross, man.
I know that you do anyways. And that's just a brief recap of how some of our clients did this past weekend, what's going on in the motorsports world. At this time, I'd like to bring up the fact that we are going to have Shawn Miller of Inside Line Promotions joining us here today on the show. Got the chance to chat with him a little bit earlier on. Talked about the Winter Heat, Sprint Car Showdown, as well as the Chili Bowl. So here is that interview. And joining us now on Gas and Glory, one of the great PR men of dirt track racing himself, Inside Line Promotions, Shawn Miller. Shawn, welcome to Gas and Glory. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me on the show, Kyle. I appreciate it.
Well, Shawn, everybody got to know your name very well because you were one busy man down at Winter Heat, down at the Cocopah Speedway, the Diamond in the Desert, inaugural Winter Heat Sprint Car Showdown. First off, talk about what it took to get everything together and plan for that event, because you were involved quite early on as far as the PR side of things go.
Yeah, Greg Burgess, the promoter at Cocopah Speedway there in Somerton, which is just outside of Yuma, he and Tony Stewart and some other people came up with the idea a couple years back, and it kind of got delayed, and then we decided, or I guess I should say they decided, in the spring, I believe, of last year that it was going to happen. And so I was involved with Greg, and he kind of told me some stuff, and we just kind of kept working on it on the back end of things, and then made the announcement. And, really didn't have that much time when you think about it, only a few months before the inaugural event. And we just tried to do as much on both the bar ends and to get as much promotional out there and try to get as many fans out there. And I think that for the first year, everyone was happy with what we got, and I think it's only going to grow. And now that there's a foundation built for the Winter Heat Sprint Car Showdown, it's really going to blow up into a huge event.
Could it really become one of those destination events like a Kings Royal, a Knoxville Nationals, a Gold Cup Race of Champions? Do you foresee that Winter Heat growing into that type of event?
Absolutely. The first thing is that you've got 5 races at one track. The second thing is that there's no other racing going on in the United States because it's the first 2 weekends of January. And then you've got free dry camping. There's a casino with a hotel right across the street. So all the things that would, if you're a family or just an individual trying to figure out where you want to go for a vacation, I mean, you've got it right there. And so you know that in January, the weather's going to be good. You're going to see racing. It's not going to be rained out. And you've got the best of the best in the business at one spot for those few days. And then you can run into them at the casino or at one of the local restaurants in nearby Yuma. So I really think that this is people should start planning now for the 2016 Winter Heat Sprint Car Showdown.
All right, and when does the 2016 edition kick off? We're going to go back and recap this year's show, but you hit the nail on the head right there. Great event. People need to make their plans now. When does the Winter Heat Sprint Car Showdown start in 2016?
It's the same weekend as this year. Obviously the only difference is it's one day earlier because of the change in the calendar year. So the first date is actually January 1st, so New Year's Day, kicking in 2016 with sprint car racing. That's kind of cool. I don't know too many people that have been able to say they've seen a sprint car race on the first day of a new year. So next year's dates are the 1st and 2nd, the 5th, and the 8th and 9th.
Very cool, very cool. Chatting with Shawn Miller here on Gas and Glory. Shawn, of course, runs Inside Line Promotions. And Shawn, one of your clients, Danny Lasowski, had a amazing weekend, just an amazing weekend down at Cocopah Speedway. The first weekend, he came back on Tuesday night, was very strong, picked up the victory on the second Friday night show, and ended up taking home the $4,000 points fund check as well, too. Danny, very stout, but you also had a number of guys down there doing very well.
Yeah, Danny, it's funny because Danny, he got 2 podiums, as you know, the first 2 nights and was in a good point spot. And then on night number 3, which was the Tuesday show, he had a mechanical issue, and so he couldn't start the main event, and it just really hurt him in points. And I was talking to him last week, and he was just kind of bummed about it. I really wanted to come out here and not only win races, but I wanted to win that championship. That was my goal. And I said, hey, it's not over yet. You win one of these shows, and you're back in it. And, I don't know about that. We'll see. So lo and behold, he wins Friday night. And so in Victory Lane, I said, you need to start listening to me more often. And he kind of laughed, and I said, you're not out of it. And he said, well, there's some people that have to have some bad luck, and there were some people that had some bad luck, and he had just the right run on a tough track on Saturday night, and he ended up tied with Stevie Smith for the points championship, and then he won the tiebreaker because he won a feature. And so it was a good week for him coming out there in his own equipment, and he'll be back in the big game stuff in Florida next month.
Very cool, very cool. Talking with Shawn Miller, like we mentioned, of Inside Line Promotions. And Shawn, one last brief thought on Winter Heat this year. Give us one sentence about what this event means to sprint car racing and how successful it was.
Oh, one sentence, that's tough. Putting me on the spot. I don't know if I can narrow it down to one sentence. One word that I would use would be growth or foundation, because I really feel like it's that was laid this year. All the hard work was laid this year, and now it's just building the momentum every day, every month throughout this year for 2016, and it'll just be a fantastic event.
Very cool, very cool. Talking about the inaugural Winter Heat Sprint Car Showdown that happened down at Cocopah Speedway, the Diamond in the Desert near Yuma, Arizona, Somerton to be exact. I want to thank all the fine folks down with the Cocopah tribe and Greg Burgess for their hospitality and hard work. But, Shawn, coming up, we have another huge event in open wheel racing, open wheel dirt track racing, that is, and that is the annual Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals happening down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Shawn, some of your clients happen to be rather famous around Tulsa time, you could say. Sammy and Kevin Swindell. Have you gotten the chance to really talk to the two of them as they head into the 2015 edition of this event? And if so, what's going through their minds right now?
Well, it's interesting. I just got off the phone with Sammy the other day, and we talked about it. He was actually already down there, and the main thing I asked him was, in years past, you'd go overseas, you'd be coming off a World Outlaw season where you'd be, exhausted. How does this year change? Because he, announced his retirement from full-time racing back in August, so he's actually had some time where he can relax and look into things. And he said that he's used that opportunity to fine-tune on some things. No major changes. Everything's still the same with the chassis and the engine and that the big things that a driver would think about. But he's kind of fine-tuned some things, and the Chili Bowl gives you that opportunity. It's more of an open race than a lot of events are, and so he said he believes that all the changes that he made are going to be positive for both him and Kevin, and I would tend to believe him, as he's obviously one of the great minds in dirt track racing.
Well, you obviously have the Swindells there, and we had Sammy on last week's Gas and Glory and echoed some of those same comments anyways, and just seemed like he was very much so looking forward to getting down to Tulsa and getting back to racing. Taking a look at this event as a whole, though, Shawn, this thing is just you spoke of growth and foundation with Winter Heat. The Chili Bowl's now up over 330 entries. This is madness. How important of an event has the Chili Bowl become in not only dirt track racing, but I would say American motorsports in general?
Yeah, kudos to the Hahn and Edwards family for what they've built. I did a story for National Speed Sport News on the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl, which are the two big events there in Tulsa, Oklahoma during the start of every year. And so I talked to them in depth about it, and it was cool to listen to the stories about the early days when the issues that they got lined out, and to see the growth that this thing has had. And the Horns told me that it really, once it hit TV, is when the growth really took off, maybe a decade ago. And I mean, you got to fight for tickets. The only way you can get in there now if you don't have tickets is to go to get a pit pass, and then the pit seating is kind of first come first serve. So you better wear some diapers because you're going to be there all day if you get a spot. So it's really turned into a premier event, and the cool thing about it is that it doesn't just bring in ninja drivers. Obviously, Casey Kane and Tony Stewart have been a part of it. Kyle Larson's been a part of it. You've got the World Outlaw drivers like Joey Saldana that have made an effort to go there. So you're bringing in drivers from all kinds of motorsports into one event, and obviously this year's car count is just ridiculous. So for any kind of a fan, I guess that would be a premier event to attend, just like Knoxville Nationals and just like the Winter Heat Sprint Car Showdown. It's kind of a cool thing to go there and see a bunch of racing in a short amount of time.
Yes, indeed, and it's, as you mentioned, huge event, and it's only going to continue to get bigger. Before we wrap things up with you here, I know I may put you on the spot a little bit, but Neil and I both did this in a couple of weeks' shows back-to-back, talking about Chili Bowl winners. Do you have a guy that you're taking that's maybe your prime contender for the win, and then who would be your dark horse going into Chili Bowl this year?
Well, I have about a dozen clients going there, so I really don't want to pick off any of them. So I would be happy if any of the Team ILP drivers wins or gets a podium. I think, obviously, the Chili Bowl runs through 4 or 5 guys, and a couple of those are the Swindells. I mean, obviously, they kind of stand atop with Kevin Swindell winning 4 straight, and he's got a top 2 finish in the last 5 years. He's definitely got to be. And then you can't count out Sammy. I mean, the guy is a Chili Bowl. So, and now that he's had the extra time, I mean, I can't imagine what they're going to do to figure out to get even better there. So I would put those 2 atop, and obviously there's a handful of other guys that are going to be really contenders. So it should be a stout competition, and I would not be surprised if you saw the Swindells run 1 and 2 once again.
All right, well, there you have it. He's got 12 drivers to keep track of in Tulsa this week, so we'll let him get to that. But, Shawn, before you got out of here, want to say thank you very much for joining us here on Gas and Glory, and we'll check in with you throughout the year.
Thanks for having me all the time. On the show, I don't have much glory, but I got a lot of gas.
And that was Shawn Miller of Inside Line Promotions. We want to thank Shawn very much for taking the time to join us here today on Gas and Glory. And Neil, you heard it in Shawn's voice. The excitement is palpable. Everybody is ready to rock and roll for the annual Lucas Oil Chili Bowl Nationals.
Yeah, including myself.
You napping over there?
No, I was just reading some notes here, and we keep talking about Chili Bowl, but it's kind of hard to concentrate with Chili Bowl going on down there already. I mean, it's Tuesday in practice, and then we got race night tonight, and been watching all the videos and having a little bit of Chili Bowl overload already.
Chili Bowl overload?
Yeah, usually that usually ends in a visit to the old Poopatron, but unfortunately,
Did you just really say that?
yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh!
And what's awesome is you didn't hit the beeper.
I didn't hit the beeper?
Yep, you didn't beep that out unless you're going to edit it out later.
Nah, I won't do that to you. I mean, you got to understand, folks, that when you work with Neil, you just come to expect these types of things. But you know what? There is one thing that I've got to say about Neil, that he has some pretty cool. He's got some pretty cool nicknames.
Great.
Least of which being.
Well, it's the big show.
He is the Big Show.
And you beeped me at the end and gave me
And
a
I
bell?
beeped you at the end, and I gave you the bell. See, I'm just having so much fun with this.
No, it's a first-time user thing. I mean, it's kind of like everything else you touch around here. It doesn't work real well.
Oh, it does work out well. You just leave it alone anyways. But we're back to talking about the Chili Bowl anyways.
I'm going to get a helmet for this mic stand. I'm about to take a header over here.
You're about to take a header?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Really, Neil, it seems like all the way around there are great drivers in each and every night. And I think it's going to come down to about 4 or 5 different guys that really are going to have a shot at this thing.
Oh, I do too. I mean, I think Tony said it best in one of his interviews. It's amazing to think that the event has turned into what it has with the car count and the folks that are there. You go down there to the race, and just to make the show takes less than 10% into the main. Just to make it there is a win in itself, I think. To walk out of there with the chance to be a Chili Bowl champion and lucid golden driller, I think that's everybody's going after that. I mean, that's what they all are down there for. I think they'd race for nothing if that was the case, but it's really turned into a good event. Great for the sponsors, the fans, everybody involved, and really kind of missing not being down there. I know we're as busy as we are working on all the projects that we are here in the office and all the shirts we've done for Chili Bowl. And as one event comes, you switch gears and start to work on the next event. And in our case, it's the next 3 events. I mean, we are churning out a lot of new 2015 NHRA drag racing stuff for the teams that we work with there, Don Schumacher and so on. Really got some neat apparel items coming there. Really, really super stoked about the new stuff I'm seeing on the wing sprint car side, World of Outlaw, ASCS drivers. And, man, the diecast is starting to really come together, and the program's looking good. And between sprint car diecast and we are going to bring the midget diecast back and have a program there.
Woohoo!
Yes, absolutely. Can we get a sound effect for that?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I really only got the chance to start with this a couple of days ago. So we're a little.
Because you broke the old one.
I did not
You
break
broke the
the
board.
old. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not.
I honestly think that there's a good possibility that we might need to do a special podcast and maybe do a Gas and Glory, maybe a B main, A main Saturday night Chili Bowl type deal this weekend.
You want to try that?
I would absolutely be up for it if the fans would enjoy hearing some of that. Maybe we can do something along that lines.
We possibly can, but there's just one small, tiny problem.
What's the problem?
I need you to come help me move my bed and my couch this weekend.
Yeah, no.
What do you mean, no?
No.
What do you mean? Well, if we're going to do the show, I've got to get some stuff done.
I've got painting going on.
That's why I'm not down in Tulsa. I got to move.
Me too. I'm painting.
You got time to do that.
Yeah, right. I've got Taylor's taxi service going in full force right now.
Taylor is his daughter.
Yeah.
Let's don't get any wires crossed here.
It's a taxi service.
Okay.
I am a taxi driver on a nightly basis. Also, I do have Trevor's taxi service. When Taylor
That's his
stops,
son.
Trevor starts.
Uh-huh.
So between baseball, indoor baseball starting, basketball's finishing up, and the dancing queen, and she's busy cheerleading. So a little bit of things going on, extracurricular activities after work.
Hey.
Yeah.
I need someone on the other end of that couch.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, dude.
You're killing me. Anyways.
Ryan. Did you invite Ryan?
No, not yet. I mean, Ryan's
got more time. He's single.
He's probably got a hot date. It's a Saturday night, you know?
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's booked up a couple weeks in advance.
He is the perfect specimen.
Wow.
No, that was a bit of an inside joke coming back from PRI this year. But no, Chili Bowl should be a phenomenal time. If we get the chance, we might do something a little bit special for the Chili Bowl. It's a big event. But after that, we move right on into, really getting ready to go down to Florida for these teams, Neil. And Volusia Speedway Park is where they're going to kick things off down there. All-Stars and World of Outlaws, as we understand right now.
Dirt Car Nationals.
Dirt Car Nationals. You're right, buddy. Around the fastest half-mile dirt track in the world.
Really?
Paul McMahon set that record back in February of 2011, if I am not mistaken, in the Roth 83 machine. And we had huge amounts of rain. And the track extremely heavy, and Paul just blistered it. Blistered is an understatement.
He was lucky I wasn't there.
I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that. But no, Florida's coming up. The start of the World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series season. That's coming up. Late models are kicking off. They're going to be down at East Bay, Ocala, everywhere. That's getting ready to kick off. The presses here at R&R getting ready to really fire up for the season as we get some of the new apparel and merchandise up. Oh, by the way, if you head on over to www.r-rracewear.com.
Was that one too many W's?
No, www.r-rracewear.com.
Okay.
You got to pay attention, see.
I'm focused.
One of these days, you will have enough focus to sit in the big chair over here.
Really?
And then that is when you can control the sound effect board.
See, that's... Folks, I mean, we are maxed out here at the capability of what Kyle can actually do in the show.
You're just lucky I'm not chewing gum right now.
Yeah, that would be a problem too, Kyle.
Yes, sir, it would anyways. But one of the things I wanted to touch on here, Neil, is the Renegade Sprint Series released a very healthy sprint car schedule for 2015. Why
didn't I get a copy of it?
I don't know. That was in your show notes.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Uh-huh.
It just, all my notes say, it says Renegades release 45 race schedule.
You need to do a little research. But no, several tracks jumping on board. They're going to be going to Atomic an awful lot. And I think one of the cool things, Attica as well too, is the number of tracks in Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, in that whole upper Midwest region that have jumped onto this series and really taken something that maybe could have been a 20-25 race deal and turned it into 45 races, a legitimate full schedule.
Well, it's neat to see, again, the Renegades doing and kind of doing what we see with the NSL deal here in the Midwest. But this leads me to throw something back at you. I know talking to one of the guys down at the Chili Bowl this weekend, I had a good conversation with Brad Loyett the other day and just asked him and threw it out there and said, hey, Brad, what are your plans for 2015? What you doing? And basically he told me, he goes, Neil, I'm going to run the midget a little bit more. I'm going to run a true outlaw schedule, run the wing sprint car, maybe he brought up Ohio Speed Weeks. Definitely wants to do that.
Oh, I love Ohio Speed Week.
So, again, I think they're going to do Trophy Cup and a few things like that. But I think with the series and what's going on out there, I'm just kind of wondering how many guys are going to follow each series and stay with it. But I think this may breed competition where the guys sometimes here in the Midwest go and run some of the Renegade stuff that's not running for points, which I think that's a good idea. A lot of 410 crossover action.
A lot of crossover action. There we go. It's going to be the year of the 410, folks. I'm calling it right now.
I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said it 3 or 4 years ago. I thought that 410 racing was on the decline and 360 was the way to go. But obviously it's changed. And, again, I think that has a lot to do with the cost of the 360 going up and being there where the 410's at.
And really, we haven't seen the 410 go up all that much. It has gone up, but it has not shot through the roof like the 360 has.
No, it hasn't. And, again, I think the racing's they want to see the fire-breathing fast cars out there, and that's what the 410s are on a short track or on the big tracks.
Whoa. If a 410 is fire-breathing, what's a 360? Smoke puffing?
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
maybe if I'm running the valves on it.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I've seen you work on things, especially the audio equipment, which is a little weak sometimes.
This show is sounding amazing, by the way, and this is all
my handiwork. It could be smoking too, like a 360.
This baby right here, I got my hand on this board. We're good to go.
Really?
It's actually a little warm right now.
Here we go, folks. It's on fire.
So we have that. We have the new season coming up. We'll get more in depth in that. Really looking forward to that. As Neil mentioned earlier on, Supercross is in Anaheim for the second time, coming up this weekend. There's going to be a lot of flipping back and forth at the R&R watching party between Chili Bowl and Supercross.
We don't even know where that's at right now. I mean, the watching party's up in the air right now.
If anybody would like to volunteer their location, all you need is MAV TV.
And a fire extinguisher.
And yeah, sorry, we party. Yeah.
Schrader.
Oh, don't even start.
Oh, boy.
And then also, as of note this week, we are quite a bit, quite the football fans around here. Each week during the regular season, we run an office pool. Congratulations to Neil this year. He won the most weeks this season.
Pure dominance, man.
Pure dominance.
Capped it off with the NCAA championship last night.
Well, you and Ryan were the only two that participated in that.
Yeah, but I heard for the last week that Oregon's going to stomp Ohio State, and I kept telling him, there's no way.
You heard this from the guy that didn't even win one out of 17 weeks.
I go, it was an easy bet to make against somebody that was so weak in the NFL weekly pool.
Ryan was the only player in our office, one of 6 that did not get on the board. Finishing in second place this year was our accountant, Deb Rideout, who had a brilliant strategy this year for picking the teams that would win.
She closed her eyes and just pushed.
No. She picked the city she would much rather visit. So if it was Jacksonville versus Buffalo, she picked Jacksonville.
Awesome.
Yeah. I thought it was completely legit. So anyways, that's what was going on. But this weekend, the championship games in football, you had the Colts at the Patriots. Who are you taking there?
Colts at the Patriots. I'm going to go with the Patriots on this one.
Yes, so please, Swami, you please tell us what you are wanting to do. And then, so you're taking the Patriots.
Yes.
I'm taking the Colts.
Okay.
And then in the NFC side of things, it's Green Bay at Seattle.
I'm going Seattle.
I got to go Seattle as well, too. I've got the Colts and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, the Super Duper Bowl. And then Neil has the Patriots and the Seahawks.
Who are you going to take in the Super Bowl?
Ooh, I'm taking the Colts.
Are you?
I'm riding that pony to the end.
Oh, boy. You're braver than I am.
Before we get on out of here, folks, I want to try something a little bit new this time around, a new segment that we're really going to talk about someone that we think is going to make a big run. And let's use Tuesday night's qualifier at the Chili Bowl for our very first edition of Dropping the Hammer.
I'm dropping the hammer. No, you're not.
Dropping the Hammer, sound effects courtesy of the world-famous Days of Thunder. So, Neil, going into tonight's qualifying night, give me one driver you think is going to drop the hammer.
Dropping the hammer and be top performer, or dropping the hammer after he loses his temper because somebody parks him at the bowl?
You give me either or, whatever you want.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to go with Mr. Sammy Swindell as the guy that's going to be the guy to watch. I think he's had plenty of time to prepare for the Chili Bowl. Sammy slimmed down, looks like a lean, mean racing machine, and I'm gonna
like you.
Yeah, I think we both had some redirection over the winter, and I'm gonna tell you, Mr. Swindell is going to look tough.
All right, so that's your Dropping the Hammer candidate, Sammy Swindell.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go with one that's a little more loud than yours.
Okay.
A little more outgoing.
Oh, boy.
I'm thinking the Herminator's going to show up tonight in Tulsa and put on a razzle-dazzle show, if you feel what I'm saying.
Man, everything I've seen with Kenny on this deal, I mean, he's taking this all out serious, and it's really cool to see. Herman's down there to be a racer, and being at the Chili Bowl and this time of the year, the Chili Bowl is one of those races that really breeds the intensity factor in the drivers. I mean, you have drivers from so many different facets down there, but Herman looks tough.
He does look tough. So, Dropping the Hammer, Neil's pick, Sammy Swindell. My pick, Kenny Wallace. We'll join you next week and see how they do.
I got another pick for Dropping the Hammer.
Oh,
I'm sure somebody in the top row rowdies out there is going to drop the hammer tonight, too.
Oh, my gosh.
There's my second pick.
All right. We've got to get on out of here, folks. We appreciate you guys very much for listening here this week on Gas and Glory. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We forget to keep mentioning that. So you're in charge of that next week.
On what?
That we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and iTunes.
Well, I can say that. I'm just not in charge of managing it.
No. You're in charge of remembering to mention it during the show.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to get on out of here, folks. Please remember, check out all of the new Chili Bowl apparel and merchandise that you can purchase and have shipped direct to your front door over at www.r-racewear.com. It is going to go fast.
It is going fast.
On behalf of everyone here at R&R Enterprises, he's Neil Quick and I'm Kyle Luders. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises. All rights reserved. Please visit the web's largest sprint car store today at www.r-rracewear.com. The views and opinions expressed in the show are the host and guest alone and do not directly reflect those of R&R Enterprises.